So welcome today. Thank you so much for joining us, Temple, to our Awaken to Rise.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm so excited about your intentions and what I know you're going to accomplish in this time.
Thank you. You know, can you tell there's so much about you there. I was reading, there's so many things that you've done. Can you share with our listeners a little bit about your history, how you got to where you're at?
Sure. So I was born in a small, very small town where people have lived there all their lives. So that's important. And so small town, small minds, rigid Southern Baptist upbringing. My grandfather, they still have a big building named after him in the Carolinas. And so then here comes me, metaphysical from day one, and really the black sheep and a mystic. But yet, you know, in those days, people didn't say, look at you, and we need to get you where you need to be to further develop your talents. You know, they would gather in a room and go, what are we going to do about Temple? So then at 13 and a half, I was discovered having an inappropriate relationship with the same sex. Well, in the 60s, that was not okay in a small town. So I was told I was going to hell, and that started this mirroring that I began to identify of acceptance or abandonment. And so many people that loved me, and I was their hero, and I was wonderful because I was an adult child of an alcoholic energy too. So, I mean, I was on every team. I was a cheerleader. I was the second homecoming. Everybody that looked at me like, oh, there's Temple, looked at me like, there's Temple. Oh my God, there she is. And so in that way, that put me on a path to find my tribe. And to open up to that. So because of that level of abandonment, then I abandoned me. And I went on a great path of serious drinking. I mean, like really serious for like 15 years.
Wow.
So that's the kind of the background of that. I know just about everybody thinks their parents or their guardians didn't do it right. I live in a place that says, look, after 30, you don't get to blame anybody. I mean, like, grow freaking up. However, in that window, it was a very complex, time for me. And I wouldn't change a thing. But yet I want to say that for me, it became my life's work, and that's, if we can be in that, when we talk about awakening, if people could awaken to everything that you went through, tragedy, unkind, opportunity, challenge, fear, whatever that was, it shape-shifted you beyond your birth story to your creation story. And when you can see that and sit with that, your perception, your love vibe, your receptivity to a universe being for you, not against you, it is spot on then. And that's why, to me, the journey was so important in that.
Wow, I agree with that. I believe what we go through, it does make us who we are. We've experienced it, and then what we do with it after that. I like that, how you said the creation story.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never heard it put like that, but makes complete sense. Yeah.
Well, in my book, When Did You Die? I talk about that a lot because it's not a physical death. The publisher said the book's going to die because you have the title, When Did You Die? And 8 steps to stop dying every day and start waking up. And I talk a lot about that because we are always being created, aren't we?
Right.
And if we allow that, unless we get fixed in our positionality and we're somewhat insecure and defend, whatever that may be. But otherwise, we're created, and I want to go out of this life with as much energy as I came in with. And so far, I feel it's working.
You definitely have a lot of energy.
Yes, I do. Thank you for noticing.
So here we are with the awakening. From the way you've been through, to me too, I think the spiritual practices, this is what this is all about, is having a spiritual daily practices to help us stay in alignment with ourselves and waking up. You had mentioned something in there about you have great spiritual practices that you do, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that you can share along that line, why it's so important today to have that in our lives?
Absolutely. Well, I think we could call them anchors, right? I mean,
Okay.
it's good to be anchored. So I think some of the practices is how we hold our beliefs. So one of those anchors for me is that things that are happening in my life are happening out here. That was tough to break, okay? Because when an event would happen, or something that was uncomfortable, or, life, it's called being a human, I would bring it inside. I'd have the feelings in my belly, the anxiousness, the energy of that, and physiological self would change. I developed a belief about, regardless of what's going on out here, my core is solid.
Right.
My core is knowing who I am all the time. And I mean all the time. Who am I? I am a human being connected to source. I am divinely created. I was sent here for this life. So I'm drawing from that. What so many people do is they live outside in. And what's going on outside, they're bringing in into their being, into their, so they have ailments and issues and, things like that. We have a body, of course. It's made that way for a reason, but that's a true anchor for me. And, to aim towards that of knowing who you are. I'm not talking about knowing how to settle what's happening to you, but knowing who you are. And I live that way in my marriage. Problems are in the world. We don't have any.
Right.
Problems are in the world. We don't have any, and we just don't have any, because everything else is out there. We don't bring it into our home. For me, I've drawn from, Sai Baba, God, Buddha, any energies, master teachers, and I connect with that energy morning and evening, and praying in and praying out. Is that I honor the energies of Saint Germain, Sai Baba, Jeshua, any of the great lights. I may say Mother Teresa, I might say Martin Luther King, but I'm going with the flow, but I'm drawing in this awareness of that aspect that totally aligns with me. And so it's a vibratory field. And I really tune into that vibratory field to bring it in and to bring it out. The other thing is that into the night, which is really into the day. Yes.
Right.
That for those of us that aren't afraid of the darkness, it's like Plato said, I don't know what's more fascinated, children being afraid of the dark or adults being afraid of, yes, children being afraid of the dark, adults being afraid of their own light. But it's like the darkness is where we go into that creation place, that divine dream state. So I'm aware of what I take into the night. Yeah. And then, of course, Patti, I do a good bit of shaman practice of declaring, of claiming a territory, meaning not a physical space, but a consciousness space, of claiming a territory that I am divinely connected of the spirit of life. I represent that consciousness this day. I allow myself to receive all of my good and to be aware with compassion of all things around me. So those kind of declarative ideas. I do shaman work, as in calling the four directions in, and aligning with the sentient beings and all people and things like that. And I think that ultimately it's about, what your mission is or what your value is. And my value is to live the book more importantly than writing the book or selling the book. You understand? It's about the book is happening right now with you and me. So it's not like, oh, I'm all about me today. It's about what are we supposed to discover together? Because I don't know what that is yet.
Right. Wow. And so this is how you got yourself to where you're at, as far as you said about being home with yourself, your core.
Yes.
Is through all this practice.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And the thing that happens is that, often people think, well, at 8:00 a.m., I need to do this. And then at, 8:15, I need to do that. I'm not making that I live in both and. So for the people that works for, good for you. My teacher taught me, I worked with her many years. She taught me that when you get into a place of have to, with your practice and your discipline, you've already crossed a line, because spirit is about flow. Spirit is about allowing. So there's this line between commitment and discipline and have to, because if I don't, I'm not going to be okay. And then we project, I'm not okay. So for me, it's that, you can do a ton of statements and declarations and affirming in a shower. You can do a ton of stuff brushing your teeth because you're not talking. You can do all kinds of things. And you can claim that within you, all those practices have already happened and you are good to go for the day.
So you're living it. This is how I'm living.
Yes.
As opposed to just going through certain actions.
Yes.
I completely agree with that.
To me, it's all about the premise of being enoughness. It's about the premise of having all the tools in my toolbox, as a motivational speaker would say. It's about having being awake to everything that is supposed to be here for me today will be here. It's about that core part, So if I am doing a practice because I don't have something, it's cause and effect. So I'm projecting I don't have something. And if I have it, maybe I'll be okay. So I haven't always been in this place in my own evolution, because keep in mind, I was a broken toy, for a long time. And so life was more about, for me, well, yeah, I'm sure that's broken too. And I need to get that fixed. And I need to go to more therapy. Oh my God. Therapy. Big believer in it. Again, wouldn't trade it for anything. But to me, it's when you become the awake that you're talking about.
Right.
Because that has different meanings to so many different people. When you become awake, you are awakened to your wholeness. You were never broke. You were never wounded. You were never not enough. You are you, made in the image and likeness of the divine. And yet it's a tough one to shift with societal beliefs and cultural understandings or acceptance, because from the time you're on this earth, you're bombarded with, you don't have it, you need to buy it, and you don't have this brand and you don't have this product. And oh my gosh, let's not even talk about the aging aspects of life, that you got to take this and this and this and this and this. And we're so duped. We are a byproduct of a product. And people that are awake live more in a reality of not being hurted, but yet they live in a place where silence exists, and they see how they're being tricked to make somebody out there $1 billion. I'm happy they make it. I could do a lot with that myself. So it's not that, but it's how we are programmed not to really use our minds. And it still fascinates me that here we are in the 21st century. And
and so agree with you, because for me, being awake or not being awake, we're living in the same world as people that are not seeing the same things, and we're having completely different experiences.
mhm.
So my experience is completely different with somebody that's living in the fear and having to live on the outside that you were talking about, as opposed to living in your inside.
Yes.
Completely different experience of life right now.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And with where you're coming from and with where I'm coming from, I don't want anyone to misunderstand. First of
Right.
all, if we weren't meant to have feelings, we wouldn't have them. I really trust the divine which created me. Do I do that 100% of the time? I mean, every now and then I get a little aggravated, like, what the heck? But I trust the divine in that I was created to have feelings. It's like one of my posters says, own your feelings or they will own you.
Ah,
So I'm not about not having feelings. I'm a spiritual motivated activist. So I don't want anybody to think that my awakeness means that when I see children abused or animals, that
oh,
I don't get
right.
angry. Oh my gosh, do I get like out of sorts? Yes,
Right.
I do. I don't ever want to eliminate that.
Right.
However, it doesn't own me. However, I'm awake to hold a greater space. Like maybe I don't have all the information. Well, I don't have the right statistics. That's not every child that goes to Florida that steps in the beach gets bit by a shark. I don't have the right information. And
Right.
so I move from a place of being a rebel in my own understanding to an enlightened rebel. So I know what I'm standing for. Does that make
That,
sense?
yes.
Because we live in a world where we have to deal with the outside.
Right.
Otherwise, we would just be in an ashram, namaste, namaste, right? I mean, all the time. I admire people that can do that. That would not be my path. However, enlightened rebel, because if I join the forces of the issue, and that's what you and I are talking about
Right.
being awake, is that
Right.
issues happen. Things that aren't okay happen.
Oh,
We're not
absolutely.
pretending they don't. A lot of people misunderstand metaphysical people and think we're stupid because they go, oh, you just stay on the inside. No.
Now my feet are on the ground.
Our feet are on the ground. We see these things that are occurring. We work from the inside out so we can make the adjustments accordingly so we don't become at that level, because that doesn't help
Absolutely.
anyone.
Right.
It's like the Balinese, right? A friend of mine lived there for many years, and she said that if they have like someone rob a holy place or rob a school, right?
Mhm.
And they do this, they will not go, well, let's send the SWAT team and let's get more ammunition. They go, we must have not been praying enough towards that.
Mhm.
We must need to do some inner work before we adjust, what's outside. So anyway, you're talking about my favorite subject.
Yes. I love it. So is there one thing, so we've talked about a lot here, is there one piece of advice you would give people right now, what they could do to begin with for themselves?
I believe the biggest thing you can do for yourself, if your name is John, is to say, I am John, I am whole, and I am holy. My name is John. I am a complete package. My name is John. When I was born, everything about my life was in that jigsaw puzzle box.
That's
And
right.
I am John. And when I stop trying to force fit the pieces of the puzzle box, I will see the imagery of my life. As long as I'm coming from this broken mentality, I will attract people that think I'm broken. I will be in experiences that feel I am less than, and it will continue. So my name is John. My name is Margaret. My name is Sarah. I am whole. I am holy. I am divine. There isn't any other way around it. It's a bird is a bird and happy to be a bird, not
Right.
needing to go do anything else. I used to love watching the egrets on the ocean of Florida on the beach. And, they are just doing what they are naturally designed to do. And they're not focusing on the other ones and seeing what's happening to them. They're not walking around going, oh, I'm just worn out. They're not buying into any system,
Right.
because they're doing what's natural, right? And so it's going back to that natural. Does it mean that John and Margaret and Sarah, that everything's going to automatically shift? Maybe not, but you did. You shifted. So you hear different, you see different, you react different, you respond different. Because
Absolutely.
you are enough. And you stand in this beacon of understanding, and you are an empowered being. And it's just really, it starts to shift everything. And, things are going to change. I mean,
Oh,
some people are going to go out of your life. Some addiction may go out of your life. Some victimhood will go out of your life. And you will look in the mirror and go, wow, I see you. The key thing is that people who crave people to see them, it will never happen in the way you want until you see yourself that way, period.
That's powerful right there.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking to the outside for the validation of who you are. You know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, these kind of principles, as you know, they're ancient. I certainly didn't make them up by myself, but they're ancient realities. And, it doesn't mean that you don't do the work,
And it's all the time.
because it's the how was this day? How was this day? In a way of love, not in a way of critiquing, but
Right.
how did things flow? Yeah, I could have done better on that call. I mean, to someone that I might have responded to, or, I passed that neighbor that I really didn't even connect, or, things like that. We're always part of this great journey.
Yes, we are.
We call life. It's like, I forget sometimes when I have guests at my home, it's my intention to remember, and I say, you're welcome to drink wine and to have a good time. I know you like wine. Please don't say to me, will I upset you if I drink? Because I'm going to tell you, you will upset me if you don't, because I think enough of myself. And trust me, my choices have nothing to do with you.
Right.
But there are a lot of people that are recovered that are not recovered.
And they want to control the people around them.
And
so
they
that
want to
they're fine.
control everybody around them so that they can stay broken recovered. That's not recovered. Healthy recovered is that you are not enslaved. And as long as you are enslaved, you're not recovered.
And that goes for everything in our
It goes
lives.
for
is that
everything.
Nobody can make you happy. It starts with yourself.
Yeah,
You
you
can't
don't
look
need
to the
a club.
outside. Mhm.
You don't need
So
a
true.
club.
So true.
So yeah, that's that part of it. But that's if you will, the shadow of the work that you and I are doing is people say, oh, it's so simple. Yeah, the concepts are. Live it. That's different, so.
It's very true. Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Wow, that's a lot. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we end today? I think we've given people a lot to think about.
Yeah. No, I just see what's coming through me is, it's just that energy of don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat yourself of the greatest relationship you can ever have in your life, and that's you.
Yeah.
And that relationship, how you perceive you, embrace you, feel about you, reflects how you believe the divine receives you, your love relationships, your friendships, your children, your grandchildren. Those are the eyes that see your life.
Mm.
Those are the eyes that see your life. And so that's where it all is, right there.
Wow, it was wonderful. Oh, thank you so, so much. I always enjoy talking to you.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Patti. It's
Thank
my
you so much for
pleasure.
sharing with everybody. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bless you.